We make the strings
louder.
What's up, guys? So I'm pretty stoked to actually show you guys some parts and pieces of for the build that's coming up, which is pretty much starting like now, I guess, which is the 600 horsepower all-wheel drive turbo K-swap Civic build. So the plan is I'm going to take my 500 horsepower D series out of here that just keeps destroying freaking transmissions, take the engine and tranny out of that, and put it into this little four-door Civic that I bought today. This is a $200 Civic shell. It's a 2000 LX, so it doesn't have a sunroof, but a little bit of hail damage, a little bit of damage around it, but 260,000 miles on it. It's got this really cool lock on it right here, because the door's been kind of boogered up right there, but 260,000 miles. This is my $200 sleeper Civic shell. That basically everything out of this car is going to go into. So we're going to start on this within the next couple of days, hopefully. But getting into that project. So if you guys have noticed over the past couple of months, I've been slowly acquiring Honda parts. I kind of got out of the whole Honda game like 5 years ago, sold everything, and I always had this one sitting up on the shelf. So if you guys haven't seen any of the videos of me pulling this thing off the shelf, painting it, taking it to PFI, getting it all dyno tuned, doing some other trials and tribulations, taking it to the drag strip. Fastest I've ran with it is 11.7 at 123 in the quarter mile, and just can't shift the freaking tranny, keep breaking trannies and diffs and all that other type of stuff. So that leads us to the K series. I've always wanted to K series something with big O turbo and make just tons of freaking power. If you guys watch a lot of like turbo Honda videos on YouTube, Humble Performance, they've had pretty good success with the K24 A2s, making over 500 horsepower and completely unopened engines. And so that's where this thing comes in. This is a 2007 Acura TSX, and this has the legendary K24 A2 in it, which is the 07, and the 6-speed manual transmission, which that's a highly sought after transmission as well. So as far as I think, the research, this is pretty much the best bang for your buck out of the box sought after engine versus like the A2. Just this is 2.4 versus a 2-liter. So this one has like the good VTEC head versus the one that's in a CRV. So this is going to be the engine, but we are not using that transmission. Obviously, we're going all-wheel drive with this whole situation. So that leads us to the other thing that we bought about a month ago, which this is a 2002 Honda CRV, and this has the K24 in it. Very similar to the one that's in the TSX, but it does not have the good VTEC head. Basically, it only has VTEC on one lobe, and it hits VTEC at like 2,000 RPM, and it's basically an economy VTEC, not a performance VTEC. So in order to people do a lot of builds on these. Basically, they'll do forged internals and stuff, and these things get an A2 head, get an A2 oil pump, and all that other type of stuff. But out of the box, TSX is going to be the better bet to go with. But I am stealing the transmission out of this. So these things are getting kind of hard to find, all-wheel drive manual CRVs. And I found this one on Facebook Marketplace. I think I picked it up for like $1,200, which is pretty much what the transmissions are selling for right now. And I should be able to sell some parts and kind of recoup a little bit of that money, and maybe keep this engine to kind of build for when we really try to kind of push the envelope with this this whole setup. So yeah, we have the engine, the transmission, the diff, the axles, and the drive shaft and viscous coupler. So it's like, well, how are we going to get that in the freaking engine bay now of that car? I'm pretty sure we're swapping this car, but yeah. So to do that, I got some Hasport mounts. These are their EKK5. These are meant actually for the all-wheel drive setup for the transfer case and transmission that goes on that. It has a different rear mount on it. And to use those mounts properly with all-wheel drive to make room for the transfer case, I picked this up from a buddy today. this is an EG subframe. So out of a 92 to 95 Civic versus the 96 Civic, there's just a lot more room in this area for the transfer case and stuff, and you actually get a lot better like axle angles and stuff with that. So that leads us to that basically gets the engine and tranny bolted in front of the car. But in the back of the car, this is one of the things I'm really excited about. Hub City Performance, they actually make a completely bolt-on, other than you have to weld one bar in there, but completely bolt-on rear trailing arm kit. So this rear kit right here, they basically take the stock rear lower control arms, or drag links or trailing arms or whatever, and they have a jig all set up. So you can see this whole piece right here. They weld that in and bolt a nice brand new hub on it, and everything works really good. I got the spherical bearings on it, and so literally this stuff should bolt onto the back of the thing. Get the axles in there, and this is their billet rear diff mount. So I'll be able to bolt the diff into the back of the car and pretty much just weld one thing and their lower control arms. So yeah, tons and tons of cool parts. So the other thing I had issues with was actually stopping this freaking thing, and because my front brakes were kind of doing some weird stuff, but we got that figured out. But I did go ahead and order a set of 4-piston front brakes, and then to go in the transmission, I have a twin disc clutch, which should be able to get me over the 600 to 800 horsepower, maybe 1,000 horsepower freaking range. So yeah, that's kind of the parts and everything I have as of now. But yeah, this build is pretty much starting now. So yeah, and recently I've been really interested in doing a 4-door. I just the coupe, it's hard to get people in there just because the front seats don't really like move because they're the brides. I mean, if I had stock seats, it wouldn't be a big deal. But I kind of like to be able throw my friends in there and go to O'Reilly's or go cruising around. But yeah, so that's kind of where the 4-door came in, and honestly, like, I just didn't have like a reason to really pull that out. Like, I'm like, well, what am I gonna do with this like 500 horsepower D series that I thought was gonna blow up, but it hasn't, and it's been really good. So we're gonna throw it in here. We're gonna make a cool little sleeper. So that shouldn't take us too long because literally everything should just like unbolt out of there, bolt right into here. Maybe mess with a little bit of wiring stuff because this is 99 and that's 96. They went from OBD2A to OBD2B, but that's a whole different topic. We'll get into that a little bit later. But I did almost forget about the other thing that I bought, which is this, I think this is 03 Acura RSX Type S. And so before I bought the TSX, this was going to be the donor for the engine, the K20A2, that was going to go in this car with the all-wheel drive stuff. And honestly, I wasn't even going to do all-wheel drive. I was just going to do this, just front-wheel drive. And then just kind of started looking around, and then I found a CRV, and then I found out that they had this bolt-on rear trailing arm kit, and I'm just like, like everything's just like starting to make sense now. So we are going to probably be stealing some parts off of that. Obviously, that car has severe quarter panel damage, and it's just not worth saving. With these TSXs, this has an electronic throttle body. So I think for now we're gonna steal the throttle or the intake manifold and throttle body, wiring harness, and ECU out of that car to go into this car, just because everything is just gonna be a lot better, like plug and play wise. I do need some more parts for this thing. I need a turbo manifold. I need to figure out what turbo I'm gonna run on it. Need injectors, fuel cell, fuel lines, all that other type of stuff. Which I'm sure we'll be working with deatschwerks on all that type of stuff. But yeah, so kind of gathering a lot of stuff, but it's kind of one of those things you almost need to kind of get it sitting in the engine bay to kind of figure out the other little stuff that you need. I'm going to be ditching this hood and going with a different setup, probably like a black hood and kind of more of like a Type R theme with it, and maybe like some really cool like hood exit stuff over here. But yeah, I am really, really excited for this whole Civic build. Kind of the plans with this, I was in a group text with Adam and a bunch of other guys, kind of talking about like drag racing and like a YouTuber challenge and stuff like that. And one of the things that came up was like an 8-second Civic or an 8-second car for like under 20 grand. And Adam was like, oh, I could freaking do an 8-second Civic, and he was almost gonna do it. And then I was like, well, I have my freaking Civic, like I'm paying it right now. So honestly, I kind of stole that kind of idea out of that conversation. And he doesn't have time to do any of that stuff anyhow, but he's going to be here later this week. So yeah, we'll give him some rides in the Civic, let him drive it, and then obviously we're not going to have any of the all-wheel drive stuff in it yet. But yeah, that I guess is the explanation of this whole project. Again, I took the Civic out on the street 2 nights ago, and it, like, third gear, it literally was just spinning the tires all the way until like the end of third gear, until it finally got traction shift into fourth, and then it doesn't spin anymore. And that's just no fun on the street, and it's not fun driving around on big giant tires that you can't turn. You know, your steering angle and everything. You know, it's just, I think it would be hilarious to have the car look exactly like this, maybe lowered a little bit, because I won't actually have to run the big tires in the front. And so just roll around on all 4 street tires and be able to put down like 550, 600 wheel horsepower to the ground and just freaking demolish like anything that you wanted to, and then go to the track and run like a 9 or an 8 or, you know, something. I don't think it, you know, without having a built engine, I don't think it'll run 8s, but we'll get to that bridge when we get there. But yeah, if you guys have any you know, part recommendations, I thought about getting like a Skunk 2 intake manifold and throttle body just right off the bat, but I'm not trying to just go and spend a whole lot of money on this either. Thought about getting like the Civic Si intake manifold and throttle body stuff. But yeah, I mean, we pretty much have the main, you know, the meat and potatoes to get this thing freaking looking like an all-wheel drive Civic. Obviously, we'll have to have the drive shaft and everything shortened. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about this, you know, the 500 horsepower sleeper Civic. I think that this thing is going to be hilarious. And, you know, it's going to freaking spin like stupid anyhow. But, you know, again, I have so much fun driving around that thing on the street. But I feel like as this progresses, this is going to become less of a street car. And, you know, we'll kind of have fun with this. I could still throw the homies in it and, you know, cruise around. It'd be nice to keep the AC and everything working in it. But, yeah, make sure we lock this guy up. But, yeah, appreciate you guys watching. If you guys are stoked about the Civic, be sure to, you know, give this video a like. Go ahead and comment, and you know, if you want to stick around, be sure to subscribe. Plenty of Civic stuff and just basically fast car stuff. We are having the event this weekend, 15th and 16th, with the drift car. I need to start prepping that, or else I would honestly be tearing all this stuff apart right now, which this thing's getting stripped tomorrow. So, see you guys later. Thank you for watching. Thumbs up, comment, subscribe, maybe. Later.